coaches here. And say hi, Sam. How you doing, mate?
All right, Paul.
Literally, I'm a big Liverpool supporter, so I know that you play for a club since 2010.
Okay.
So I watched you quite a lot.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
So what I'm gonna do now, Tom, if you give me the nod when this is flipped over to the arena, which it is now, which is perfect. So welcome, Paul. Paul Konchesky, formerly I know formerly of sort of Charlton, Tottenham, West Ham, Fulham, Liverpool. You played for a number of Premier League teams and others besides. But most importantly, now in your career, you've moved over to I think at first you were working with the Hammers Academy there at West Ham from around sort of 2017. Then last year took over as the sort of the new assistant manager of West Ham women's team. So I'm going to hand you over now to the very capable Sam, our program's coaches. I know he's got a couple of questions for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so the first question I just wanted to ask you, Paul, is that could you tell us a little bit about your role as an assistant manager of West Ham women's team, and maybe a bit about how important increasing girls' participation in sports at grassroots level?
So my role really is obviously to assist the manager. Obviously, he has the final say of everything that goes on, really. But to be on the grass every day with the girls, and maybe, if you like, giving some experience that some people obviously can't give. I played a lot of football in my career, and like you just said, I've played for many teams, so I've picked up experiences along the way. So if I can pass them experiences back to some young girls, we've got senior girls. They're international, so they're really highly thought of. But if my experience can help them along the way as well, then a part of my role will be to help them and try and make them better. And it won't just make them better; it'll make us as a club and our women's team a lot better and stronger.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. What I also wanted to ask was, what was it like transitioning from being a Premier League footballer to then a coach? Because we know that in the Premier League, there's some Premier League legends that go into coaching and it does go well for them, or it doesn't really go too well for them.
Yeah.
So what's the transitions like for you?
At first it was okay, because I went from not playing to the boys' side, if you like. So I stayed within the men's side of football. So that transition was okay, because as a kid, I knew growing up what it took. I ended up playing football for my career, which every boy's dreams of, and it's the best job if you can. So that transition to help them younger boys, like I just spoke about, trying to help the girls, was a little bit easier because I've been through that. But when I got asked to come the assistant manager with the women, as much as people think it's football, it's the same. It's not. It's you have to think of different morals that ladies and girls have, and just the way you speak. You get away with it a little bit more on the men's side, speaking a bit arrogantly or a bit aggressively. But the girls and the ladies you can't speak to them like that. And that was a big change in my eyes for coming from men's side to the ladies. It is the way you are around the ladies and the way you have to speak to the ladies and the girls to try and get things across.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant on what you said, because it transitions a little bit into the next question. The differences between the men's and the women's the words that you can say, especially as we're as LYR, we're focusing more trying to get the participation of girls up. What's the differences? Like, how do you girls think in the way, like, what's the incentives on how where they want to do sport or where they rather not do sport? But also just with you as coaching, what was the differences between you as a player day-to-day life to you now as a coach?
That's a good question, because when you are playing, your routine's really the same every day. You wake up, you go to training, you have breakfast, you have your lunch, and you go home. So you don't see the other side of what happens in a football club or a football team or the other side of the coaches that's helping. So becoming a coach is it's an eye-opener, because I wasn't that good on computers. So I've had to learn how to go on the computer and how to do presentations and PowerPoints. But from being at a training ground from like 7:30 in the morning to like 5-6 o'clock at night. So the transition in that way was completely different, because as a player, you turn up, everything's done for you. You go out on the grass and you play.
Yeah.
But being obviously the coach that has to do that and prepare that is obviously now that's my learning now. And if you like, going back to like being back at school, learning the trade and hoping to do it the right way and succeed in that.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So just moving on to Race the Thames, like, how did you find out about it? How did you get involved?
We've got a psychologist lady here, and I think her partner's really indulged in it. So she asked if I think it was 8 of us, if we could get a team of 8, we need to obviously do the Race of the Thames Monday to, I think it was a 7-day challenge or whatever. And I did say to her at the time, like, Jen, I'd love to do it, but I've still got that competitiveness, so I don't want to lose. So we need to get a team that we don't lose. But no, listen, she asked, and to be fair, a lot of the guys and girls wanted to do it, and it's been fantastic. You know, every little bit helps, and some people hasn't done anything, but now they've started to do it all because of this challenge. So it's fantastic to get people out to just, even if they're walking, to get a bit of fitness and fresh air and get their bodies moving.
No, that's brilliant. I'm glad that you still had that competitive edge that you don't want to lose.
I can't get rid of it at the moment.
Sorry, Ollie, did you want to say something?
What I was just going to ask is just about, you know, in terms of our Race Thames participants. I mentioned at the top of the call, Paul, we've got a few teams that have finished, and we've still got some. We've got 3 days left. And as a former professional athlete, very successful, obviously professional athlete, and now you're still very much in sort of the professional athletic world. You know, when you were talking to your women as assistant manager, you know, West Ham women's ladies, and they're knackered, you know, they come off at half time, and maybe the first half hasn't gone quite so well. But just in terms of, you know, any advice that you might have for our Race to Thames, they're all coming sort of towards the end of their challenge, but, you know, something that any bit of wisdom that you might be able to impart on them when it comes to endurance and sort of keeping going and that mental side of it as well, potentially.
I've been part of that, you know, and you know, you wake up and you can't get out of bed, or your body's tired, and like you say, obviously our girls or whoever's doing the running, the bikes, your legs are tired, and in your head your body's tired. But I think more mentally, if you can just get out and do that next one, I think you get through it like that. And for myself, sometimes I wake up, I can't be bothered to go and do these 5-10 Ks, whatever we're doing. But if I get out and I do start doing it, I feel so much better for it. So really and truly, the advice I could give is, don't let your head tell you can't do it. You can go out and do it, even if it's a bit slower. You can get yourself out to do it. You'll feel so much better for it.
That's amazing. That's such a great answer. And Paul, I know we've got to let you go in a minute, so I just want to ask you one last question. As a bit of a selfish one from me, just as somebody, who's played for England, like yourself, and obviously that's a dream for a lot of kids, that myself included, and I'm sure a lot of the guys and girls on this call. I just wanted to ask you about, you know, that first time playing for England specifically. Got off on a tangent here, but just wanted to sort of, you know, take you back to that moment, because I always felt like, you know, that's a dream for so many kids, and that was something that you managed to fulfill, aside from everything else in your career. But specifically, what was it like, sort of, you know, running out for England that time?
At first, it was nerve-wracking. You know, you get that call. I obviously deserved the call up. And no disrespect, I was playing for Charlton at the time, so no disrespect to Charlton. They're not a Liverpool, Man United, or Chelsea, so they weren't one of the bigger clubs. So turning up and you see Beckham and Paul Scholes and Ferdinand and Gerrard, sometimes you do feel, should I be in this room? Because even from, like, obviously me being a bit starstruck, you know, you play against them and it don't normally matter, but sitting at a dinner table it's like, wow, I should be here, or shouldn't I be here? But I'm here, so you need to like buck your ideas up and get on with it. But just being there, and at the time it was at Upton Park. I'm a West Ham fan, so to run out for my country at West Ham was dreams of dreams. Really, it couldn't have happened at a better place. And obviously for my country, it was a massive thing for me and my family.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that answer, Paul. I'm just going to open it up now, because Paul does have to go. But if we have one final question, because I know Sam and I have sort of been asking the questions, if anyone had anything else that they might want to ask Paul before he has to go.
I was going to ask hi, Paul. Sorry, my name's Ikem, one of the coaches at OAR. We've actually met, but you might not remember.
Okay.
But I'm a big advocate for women's participation in sport. My brother's currently assistant manager at Harlow Town Ladies with Rudy, who you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a couple leagues below West Ham. So what I wanted to know is for a big name like yourself in the football industry, like, do you feel like more big names on the men's side need to transition to the women's side to increase the awareness of women in sport?
I think it will go that way. I think as the football and the ladies' sports in general get bigger, especially obviously now we know the WSL is getting bigger. It's on Sky, and I think as that starts changing it a little bit more, I think there will be more men, or if you like, bigger names dropping into the women's football or women's sport. And I think it'd be a massive thing if you can get bigger names, if you like, if that's how we want to use them, the bigger so-called names in the ladies' sports, because that would only give it another massive push.
Yeah, that's amazing. Hopefully, you might see us Harlow in the same league in a couple of years, and hopefully you come up and smash.
Well, hopefully you come up, we don't come down. Yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
Thank you so much for your time, Paul. It's really much appreciated for you jumping in here. We wish you all the best for West Ham Ladies, and for your team's completion of Race to Thames, if you haven't done already, which they might well have with you on board. And we'll let you go. So thank you so much for spending a bit of time with us.
No, anytime, guys. Thank you very much, and good luck. And hopefully to be involved again soon.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one, yeah.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, people. Bye-bye.